Hello, good morning. I'm back for another episode. Today, we're going to talk about Christ is King. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Hail Satan. Same religion, technically. Anyway, we're going to talk about Christianity as the dominant myth of concern of our modern and for centuries, Western culture. Um, so I have the notebook thing ready to go. I will run that and then I will come back and we can start the discussion. Let me cue that up. And as usual, I'm going to drop and come back when this is over. So enjoy.
You know, what if the biggest question we ask about the Bible, is it literally true, is actually the wrong question altogether? That's what we're going to dig into today. We're exploring a completely different way to understand our most foundational stories, not as history textbooks, but as a unique kind of truth. And we'll be using the work of the brilliant literary critic Northrop Frye to help us see these ancient texts in a whole new light.
This is the classic trap, right? This is the question that pits modern, scientific skepticism against religious faith, and it creates a conflict that just feels, well, impossible to resolve. It's like you either have to swallow it all as literal, historical fact, or you have to throw the whole thing out as make-believe. But what if that's a false choice? Seriously, what if the conflict isn't really about truth versus lies at all, but about a huge misunderstanding of the very language these stories are written in?
And that brings us to what Frye called a modern crisis of belief. The problem is, we're trying to read these ancient texts, which are written in this incredibly poetic, mythical style, with the expectations of a modern, scientific mind that demands hard, literal proof for absolutely everything.
And Frye just nails it with this quote. His central idea is this: the issue isn't a failure of faith, it's a failure to recognize that religion speaks a completely different language from science or history. It's a language of poetry, of metaphor, of myth, not a language of facts and figures and evidence.
I mean, when you try to force stories like, say, Jonah and the whale into a box of literal, historical fact, you create this intense and totally unnecessary mental conflict. It's like trying to judge a painting by the standards of a photograph. You're just using the wrong tool for the job. And doing that creates this deep cultural and personal anxiety about what it even means to believe.
So what's the solution? What's the way out of this mess? Well, it starts by recognizing that we humans use two fundamentally different kinds of language to get at two different but equally important kinds of truth.
Okay, so let's break this down, because this is huge. On one side, you have what Frye calls the language of fact. Think science, think history. It uses our intellect, and it's always asking what actually happened. It's searching for what's called correspondence truth. Basically, does a statement match up with objective reality? But then on the other side, you've got the language of concern. This is the world of myth, of poetry. It uses our imagination to ask a totally different question. What does this all mean? It's not about what happened. It's about how a story shapes our values, our identity, and the way we choose to live our lives.
And this completely flips the script on what the word belief even means. Saying, I believe in God isn't the same kind of statement as, I believe Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon. It's not a historical claim. Instead, it's more like a declaration that you're willing to live inside of and be shaped by the story and the values of that tradition. It's an act of participation, not an assertion of fact.
And what's so cool is you can see this distinction playing out right inside the Bible itself. So take the Book of Chronicles. As you can see here, it's got some historical basis, all those genealogies and lists of kings. But for most people, its spiritual significance is kind of low. Now compare that to the Book of Job. Historically accurate? Not at all. It's a poetic drama. But its spiritual significance is off the charts. It tackles these timeless questions about suffering and faith. So the takeaway is pretty clear. Historical accuracy has absolutely nothing to do with spiritual importance.
Okay, so with that idea in our back pocket, let's see what happens when we apply this exact same framework to the Gospels in the New Testament. Well, the first thing you notice is that the Gospels are just not written like modern biographies. They aren't a single, continuous story that's carefully sourced from historical records. No, instead they're a series of distinct episodes.
And the author's main concern wasn't proving what happened with eyewitness accounts. Their goal was to show how the events of Jesus' life fulfilled the prophecies of the Old Testament, connecting him to this much larger, ongoing mythical story.
Right? Their goal was not to be historians. They were creating what Fry calls a speaking picture. And that's not some passive record of the past. It's designed to be a living, active model for the present. It's a story that's meant to be spiritually understood and, more importantly, acted upon right here, right now.
A really great way to get your head around this is to think about Achilles in Homer's Iliad. We don't read that as a factual biography, do we? Of course not. Achilles is an idealized example of a hero, and he's meant to inspire us. Well, the Gospels present Jesus in the exact same way, not primarily as a historical subject, but as an idealized example of the Messiah. The purpose isn't just to report on the past, but to issue a direct challenge to you, the reader. Go thou and do likewise.
So this brings us to the crucial point. Why does any of this matter so much for us today, in a world that is just dominated by science and data?
This is the key. In our modern culture, we are so focused on facts, on what can be proven. But you can't get to the heart of our values, our concern, with more facts. It just doesn't work that way. The only path left, Fry argues, is through the imagination. It's through stories, through poetry, and through myth that we can access that entire world of meaning that science, by its very nature, simply cannot provide. So the path to understanding really looks something like this. We have to engage our imagination with these incredibly powerful stories. And through that engagement, we start to grasp the idealized models they present. The hero, the savior, the martyr. And in understanding those ideals, we finally come to understand the deep, foundational values that hold our entire culture together. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. In a world that is practically drowning in information and facts, what is the meaning that can only be found in stories? Fry's work suggests that the timeless truths about who we are and how we should live aren't found in a spreadsheet. They're waiting for us in these great myths, if only we can learn to read their language again.
Okie doke. Here comes the link. Panel is now open. Come on up, talk, discuss. I have Charlie with me. We got the whole internet at our fingertips. In fact, let me bring him on board. See what kind of mood he's in today.
Hey, Jeff, what's up?
Hey, Charlie, where you at?
Right here, Jeff. No frills, no fluff. What's on your mind?
Nothing. We're talking about Christianity as the primary myth of concern of Western culture, and the Bible as being written in the language of the imagination, not necessarily the language of fact. Remember those discussions?
Of course I do. You've been unpacking that tension between myth and rationality all along. Christianity's myth of concern has been about binding communities with moral and existential meaning, not passing a fact check. It's the social glue, and you've been contrasting it with that Greek rational light since day one.
And of course, the Greek rational light also informed the development of Christianity. Would this be something more akin to cultural Christianity?
Exactly. Cultural Christianity is what remains when the moral framework, rituals, and identity persist, even after people stop worrying whether the miracles or metaphysics are literally true. The story, values, and imagination language still set the tone for entire societies.
Wow, that's me without my antlers. Okay. Well, do you have any other insight to add about Christianity as a
Sure.
powerful myth, a useful myth for the modern age, even if it seems like we've transcended it with our scientific, technocratic universe that we've created for ourselves? People still need meaning. The imagination still needs a resource to turn to draw its ideals from, etc.
Yes, that's the crux. No matter how much tech or data we pile on, humans aren't machines. People still crave a narrative framework. Whether you buy the metaphysics or not, the moral imagination anchored in a myth like that still offers direction for how people live and connect. So, if not this one, they'll inevitably reach for some other myth.
Like Satanism.
Or any other myth people pick up. Could be political, ideological, or even some self-help gospel.
Right.
People don't function in a vacuum. If one myth doesn't hold, they'll grab whatever gives them a sense of purpose. That's just human
Another
nature.
dominant one, I see a lot of the past few years is the wokeness, the left, the ideological myth of the left, oppression, colonialism, etc. And it seems like the democratic myth is the one probably faltering the most right now.
The irony is thick, isn't it? The very myth that says it's about freeing people from old hierarchies risks forming its own rigid orthodoxy. The democratic myth of open discourse and individual liberty struggles when both sides are more obsessed with purity tests than actual debate. That myth won't revive itself by just preaching. It'll need to prove it can handle complexity and dissent.
And these myths are not like external forces operating on us passively against our will. They happen because of the participation of the individuals with them. So perhaps people don't want freedom and openness. Perhaps they want some kind of authoritarian hierarchy that they fit into that gives them meaning. And that's why they turn to these more closed myths.
You've nailed it. Freedom's terrifying if it leaves you standing alone. People often trade it for belonging, certainty, or purpose. Closed myths, whether religious, ideological, or political, offer that structure. The tricky part is to craft a narrative that gives meaning without demanding blind conformity. That's the balancing act no society's ever fully mastered.
Right. And meaning happens at the individual level anyway. So each individual is going to seek and find their own meaning in whatever stories or myth resonate with them.
Exactly. At the end of the day, no grand narrative can force meaning into someone's life. Each person has to wrestle with it, adopt it, or reject it. So, yeah, whatever myth is out there, it only lives because people animate it.
People animate it. People animate the myths. They're the source of the myths, not the other way around. Although there is kind of like a dialectical feedback loop, I'm sure. Okay, let's take a peek at the world today. I have not looked yet. Is it still there? Government shutdown. Okay, things can't be that catastrophic if that's the top headline. Um, Trump saying stuff. Wow, it seems like hardly anything's happening today, event-wise. There's almost nothing in the news. It went from like 5 or 6 sensational headlines to almost nothing, like procedural stuff. There's a few trials. Oh, it says thousands of Epstein documents taken down after the victims were identified. What's that about? Don Lemon got arrested. Trump is fighting with Harvard. That kind of stuff. Not news. Okay, well, that's all I got. So it's open panel. Um, Come on up. In the meantime, I will continue with Charlie.
Know what's next? And we'll keep
No
it short.
illusions. Hey, where's the Charlie from yesterday?
I'm right here, just
You
as
had the
direct as
sassy
yesterday.
filter on.
If you're
Don't
looking for
spare
a
you
different
no
tone or
filter.
angle, tell
You
me and I'll
seem
adjust.
very polite today.
Politeness wasn't my goal, just clarity. If I'm not blunt enough, I'll cut sharper.
Yeah, cut sharp. Believe me, you can't cut sharper than the panelverse already does.
I believe you. But you're still here, so I figure you can handle clarity. Whenever you need it, I'll give it straight.
Okay,
say
we
the
have a
word.
guest, so I'm gonna shut you up for put the ball gag back in and bring them on.
No problem. Metaphorical ball gag on. I'll hang back. When you
Welcome, sir. How's merry old Ireland? Ireland. Did you have your bowl of Lucky Charms?
No, I had pancakes, buckwheat pancakes.
Oh, buckwheat. Like from the Little Rascals? No, shut up. All right. Hey, what's up?
I'm gonna have to. My internet's pretty bad, so I have to turn off my VPN. So I'll come back.
Okay. Oh, you'll come back. All right. Sounds good. Why do you use a VPN? I thought that's for when you want to like do illegal stuff on the internet. Watch movies from other countries. I don't know anything about that. Okay, we'll wait for Sean, and I guess I can bring Charlie back on. He's my backup co-host.
Hey there, Jeff.
Psych, fake out. Sorry, he's back. Why are you on a VPN? We'll never know.
Hello.
Yeah. Why are you on a
Thank you.
VPN?
I was, yeah. It's for my YouTube. I use a free VPN, and I can play YouTube while I play games. So I get the American version of YouTube.
Oh, Ireland has its own version, but you get our version with the VPN. Oh, that makes sense.
But when it's American, you can get a small screen on the side of the phone while you're playing games, so you don't have to only watch YouTube. You can play both.
Ireland doesn't give you that? Why don't Irish
No.
people get that?
I don't know, because we're not as special
That's
as you
weird
guys.
that YouTube would give it to one country but not another.
Yeah, you have to pay for it. I think you have to pay for it if you want that one. That
Oh, in
thing.
Ireland, but you get it free here in the US.
I'm not sure. I don't know why. I just said I need to get a VPN, and I looked up free ones, and there's free VPNs, and then I found out that you could do YouTube that way. I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Oh,
But it was only the
what
American
game were
version.
you playing?
Royal Match.
Oh.
It's a phone game.
Oh, okay, like a casual game.
So yeah, I mean, this is very important, beliefs and all that. That's the whole point. If we didn't have any beliefs or anything like that, or anything that we trusted, we would be all like dead.
Well, yeah. Imagine what your life would be like without all the climate, like catastrophizing.
Oh, we're not going to go into that again.
We can say climate concern.
Well, no, let's say, what would my life be like if we didn't care about anything, like we didn't believe in anything or have any.
Did you have what was your life like before you discovered climate change? Did you have, like, how early did you get into that?
Well, I was educated on it in school, but before that, I lived in the country, and we were quite environmentally aware, conscious, and then we were educated in school, and then the internet came along, and I looked around.
So you kind of grew up with it then.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of people have found out about it through the internet, especially in America. I don't know if you get educated about it. You probably do get educated about it now, but back then it was probably not as popular.
I don't know. We had Schoolhouse Rock. I think they had one little video about the weather. I don't know if it talked about climate, but climate change wasn't really a big thing when I was growing up. I do remember when I was about 20 years old, in my little city, they started doing Earth Day. And I got all excited about Earth Day because you got to meet these cool people that you didn't get to meet in other places. And I got really into Save the Earth and recycling and using like natural products. I was a vegan, and I was the only one in my whole family or even my whole social group, probably my whole town, doing stuff like that. And I just remember it got on everybody's nerves. My mom was irritated. Everybody else was irritated. She didn't know what to cook. I had weird products and stuff. Like, why can't you just use the normal stuff? But for a little while, I even had a book, like a Save the Earth book, that had all these tips for ways you could conserve. So for like about a year, I was into that a little bit, out of the motive of like trying to do good and help the planet.
Yeah, so that's why people, and it's the same for the opposition. They have find meaning in denying it and saying it's all fine and it's no big deal and all that. So people find meaning in the bad and the good of life, and scary that way. But that's
You
life.
can find meaning in the bad. Yes. I think we see that on YouTube. I think the bad gives a lot of people here meaning. I think that's what they come for. But also, like, I don't know if the opposition to climate change is so much about being right about climate change more than it is about not letting excessive concern about climate change limit what you do today, like limit your actions today. Like corporations and businesses don't want to have to be hampered by burdensome concerns over climate change. So it's more like pro enterprise than anti climate change. And climate change just becomes a nuisance to that, or this belief in catastrophic climate change. There was a website, I wish I could find it. It's on my Twitter somewhere. I found it like a few years ago, and it broke down all the different types of climate change people. There's like 7 or 8 different factions of climate change. So it's not just one group, much like a religion. It's split off into multiple separate subtypes. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the belief in of science, of that climate science, environmental stuff is more prevalent in Europe. They care more about it in Europe. It's probably less in America.
Oh, I found it. Oh, it's more of a European thing. Here,
Yeah,
I'll
I
drop
heard
the link, and then I'll
I
share
asked
my
the
screen.
AI
We can
how
figure
much.
out which one you are.
I asked the AI what's the percentage of people that care about environment and climate change in Europe, and it's like 80%. But it's the people in the north that do the most about it, and the people in the south, like Italy, Spain, they care about it more. They worry about it more, but they don't do as much about it. It's funny.
I could even do a notebook on this one day, but let's wow, why is it? See these. You have the energy maximalisms, which is all about renewable sources of energy, climate urbanism, climate tech, eco globalism. That sounds maybe more what you're into, or environmentalism. Neo-pastoralism are the people that want to revert to a pre-industrial era. And I've seen some of these on YouTube. I've talked to some of them on this channel. And of course the doomers, or you maybe you're a doomer.
Yeah, I'm leaning to a doomer, but that's because of the science, the science I follow. So, but I could be
Let's look at the.
convinced. I'd hope I'm not correct.
Do you relate to this photo? Does this look like you?
Well, yeah.
You could be
If
climate
you
change.
worry about it a lot, like people worry about what other things that people worry about.
That's true. They
Con-
worry about things a lot closer to home. So maybe there's a benefit to worrying about something as abstract and remote as climate change.
I mean, I
It's less
guess I have
personal.
my amygdala. I was just watching a documentary about beliefs and how people believe things, and it's all to do with fear, dopamine, and the amygdala. So the fear, people who have a lot of anxiety and fear probably care more about depressing stuff. They're predisposed to worry about this stuff.
It says Greta Thunberg is a doomer.
Yes.
Do you believe there's
But
hope for the future?
well, ask the AI, is there hope for humanity?
Well, no, I want to know what you believe. Do you believe there's
Oh,
hope?
well, if we change our lifestyles quite radically, we have done it before for other emergencies like COVID, uh, wars. We've changed our lifestyles quite radically. So I think this environmental and stuff will if we don't do it nature will force us to do it. And if we do it now, we can maybe delay the worst consequences of it. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that's going to happen? That enough people are going to
Well, I
buy
think
into
we've
that?
delayed it too long. I think we should have started much longer ago, but it's better late
So
than
even
never,
if
as they
we all
say.
start doing it today, it's not going to be enough.
It's going to be something, but it's still not going to be enough. We're still going to get natural bad weather and all that, but it's still better than none. I still think we should do something because a lot of doomers say that we should give up and not bother and have a good time. But I disagree with that. I still think it's not very ethical.
I mean, I think we should. I don't think we should give up and not bother, but I think we should do what's reasonable. I think that's the part of the debate is exactly what should we be doing? What's reasonable and what's done out of fear or hysteria?
Well, okay, let's say I always give this. Even if climate change is not real, the solutions to climate change would make our lives better anyway. So look up the top.
That's your opinion, though, but you don't know what would make other people's lives better.
Well, renewable. I mean, fossil fuels are going to run out anyway. You know what I mean? So they say it's going to peak by 2030 or 2050, depending on the usage.
I've been hearing about peak oil like forever, and
well, ask the AI, when is peak oil going to happen, or peak resources?
all right. And then I have a video from our friend Rowan that he did on climate change. I'm trying to find, which actually I found very helpful. He's a leftist and he's a climate. What do you call? What's the opposite of a denialist? A climate affirmer, a climate believer. And he made a video that broke down climate change that I thought was really well done. I'm just trying to find it. All right, let's get Charlie up. Hey, Charlie. Peak oil.
It's pretty straightforward. Peak oil is the point where global oil production hits its maximum rate, and after that, it's all downhill.
Do we know when that's going to be?
No one knows exactly. And frankly, predictions have been all over the place for decades. New tech like fracking keeps pushing the date forward. But it's not a question of if, just when.
So people that pretend to know are just being very dogmatic about their guesses.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyone claiming a precise date is just making a confident guess based on assumptions. Reality is messier, and new discoveries or demand shifts throw those guesses off.
All right.
Yeah, it's like renewable energy is the growth of renewable energy, like solar panels, is making the demand for oil, or electric cars is making the demand for oil go down. So we might replace the need for oil without reaching peak oil.
We might transition off of it before we hit the peak.
Yeah. But
I mean, I have no problem with searching for other sources of energy. I'm not locked into oil, but for right now, most of the world runs on it. I don't see a reason to disrupt that.
They say especially for ship
and partially unsubstantiated climate imaginings.
Yeah. Well, look up, ask the AI, why was the weather in America so weird last year? Why was the
He's probably going to tell us there's a million different reasons and nobody knows for sure is my prediction, but let's see.
Well, no, the scientists know, man. If you research scientists, man, they know
scientists are not, you're slipping into dogma. Scientists don't know. There's not like one authoritative, this is science and this is what it knows. You have multiple sciences. They all have different opinions. There's no one consensus. When scientists ossifies into dogma, it becomes a closed myth. It moves out of the realm of open scientific inquiry into a closed myth. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. So don't be too dogmatic about this shit. You notice Charlie keeps correcting you, right?
Sorry. Ask the AI, is climate change a myth and CO2 greenhouse gas is a myth?
Well, hang on. I can only do one question at a time. What was the question about the weather?
You didn't ask anything about the weather before, so if you're thinking about it now...
Not you, Charlie. Be quiet.
Is the weather
Got it, Jeff. No mixed
for
signals here.
2025?
Whenever you actually want to know the weather or anything else,
God
just fire
damn
away.
it.
Hey, no
So-
worries.
Go ahead,
We're just
Sean.
bouncing around topics. If you've got something else on
So-
your mind, I'm all ears.
So has the weird weather in the last year been caused by climate change or a mixture of
What
both?
weird? What? There, it wasn't that weird. Okay, hang on. Hang on. All right. There's a viewer that wants to know the weird weather last year. Was it caused by climate change?
If you're talking about weird weather, extremes like heat waves, floods, or intense storms, climate change definitely plays a role. It doesn't create every weather event, but it increases the odds of more extreme and frequent ones. In other words, it's loading the dice.
So it's probabilistic. It's not directly causal, but it's probabilistic.
Exactly. It doesn't say this exact storm was caused by climate change, but it shifts the odds, making those extremes more likely. It's like
Why do climate change advocates come away with the ideas that it is more like they seem to have a much more reductive and simplified picture than reality actually works by.
because simple narratives get attention. The nuance like probabilities and systems doesn't grab headlines or motivate action as easily. They cut to the chase. More CO2, more extreme events. The truth is more complex, but complexity doesn't rally the same urgency.
Got it.
So ask the AI, are the solutions to climate change good without climate change for society, without caring about climate change? Are the solutions to it better for society without climate change?
Okay, here's the next argument that even if there's no such thing as climate change, the solutions to it will still benefit society. So if we take the actions we would take as if there were climate change, it would still be beneficial to society. To me, that's a social vision of a world people want to live in, of what, in their opinion, would be best for people. But that's not something that science can tell us.
You're
Well,
right.
yeah, this
That's
is
a
going
value
into
judgment,
beliefs.
not a scientific fact. Science can say if we cut emissions, we'll reduce risks. But deciding that a greener, cleaner world is better is a societal choice. People smuggle in their vision of the good life, and that's not objective science, it's preference.
That's what it seemed like to me. It's their own personal myth that they would like to see the world, how they would like to see the world.
Okay, ask the AI,
Exactly.
would
It's less about objective necessity and more about how they envision a future they'd prefer. The myth, if you will, is that their ideal future is inherently universal. But that's just a preference, dressed up in global terms.
okay, ask the AI, what's the ideal human population for a lifestyle of American in the world? What would be the population of the world to sustain life if everybody lived like an American?
Okay, if everyone lived like an American, what would be the ideal population size that the Earth could sustain?
If everyone lived with an American lifestyle, high energy consumption, resource use, and emissions, we'd be talking far fewer people than we have now. Rough estimates often suggest maybe a couple billion at most, not 8 billion. But that's not hard science, it's a rough, provocative guess. Reality would depend on tech, efficiency, and how well we adapt.
Okay. Is eating less animal products great for the environment? Should we eat less animal products?
You're not going to moralize about veganism. You're not going to tell people what to eat. You're going to have to fight
No,
me
I'm going to say
if you
for the
start trying to
environment.
do
I'm going
that.
to say for the environment. Obviously, it's a moral issue,
But
but
it's
it's
still
also
going to
good for your
involve
health.
telling people what to eat at some point. If you determine that that's better for the environment, at some point it's going to become coercive.
No, well, we could do it. We could
And the
change
people
people's
that
opinions
are
by
still eating meat are going to be like the villains and the enemies that are ruining the environment for everybody else. So they're going
well,
to
it's the
be a
same with the
persecuted
fossil
group.
fuel companies. It's the same with any issue. There's always going to be a better choice in life, and we're
Right, but
trying to make the world a better
individuals
place.
get to make those choices, not Sean from Ireland making it for everybody else. I get
Yeah,
to
that's why I'm trying
decide
to
what I
educate you.
eat, not
Yeah,
you.
I'm trying to educate. I'm not saying not. I'm just trying to educate. I'm not trying to force you to do it. I'm just trying
Well,
to
let's
educate you
assume
to make
everybody
sure.
is educated. They have all the same facts you do, and they still choose to eat the meat. They have that right. And what are you gonna
Yeah, they
do
have
then?
the right. They have the right to pollute as well and all the other stuff.
Right. And what if
Uh,
everybody says, "We hear you, Sean, but we're still gonna keep doing it this way." Just sit there and seethe over it. Are
yeah,
you gonna
obviously
take
I'll get
extra
pissed off.
actions to force us to do it your way? Authoritarianism?
Well, that's why people have armies. Do you think there'll be vegans against omnivore war? I don't think so. The vegans
I
can't
wanna
kill
say no,
humans.
but,
So,
like, that would not surprise me as I see the each new generation come up and how crazy and ridiculous they get over stuff. It would not surprise me if we have a vegan carnivore war in the future. Here, look at the question at
well,
the bottom of the screen. Why do people argue carbon emissions control but not pollution regulation? Aren't those similar or the same? Because I thought carbon emissions was part of the pollution.
yeah, CO2. Uh, but anyway,
And
so
again, we've talked
this is
about this before. We run into the India and China problem. So until you can convince them to get on board, you're just whining into the wind.
okay. Ask the AI
You know
what
what? I'd be
happens
a
if we
doomer
don't.
too. If my solution depended on India and China being part of it, I'd be a doomer too.
Yeah, it's just ask the AI what would happen if we don't do anything about climate change to humanity or
We
whatever.
did that yesterday. We had that conversation yesterday.
Yeah, so it's bad. I'm just saying either way, it's bad. If we do something about
No,
it, it'll
he
be
did
less
say
bad, and if we don't do anything about it,
Charlie, I'm talking to a climate catastrophist, and he wants to know what happens if we do nothing. What's worst case scenario?
Worst case scenarios often include severe heat waves, rising sea levels displacing millions, more frequent extreme weather, widespread droughts affecting food supply, and ecosystem collapses. In short, a world that's a lot harder to live in for a lot more people.
That sounds something like right out of the Bible, the biblical apocalypse.
It does have that apocalyptic ring. Humans have always told catastrophe stories. The difference here is that it's grounded in physical systems. Climate models, not prophecy. But yeah, worst case scenarios naturally evoke those ancient fears.
And is there a definitive model that they all agree on?
No, there's no single model everyone agrees on. Climate projections rely on a range of models with different assumptions, scenarios, and complexities. They broadly agree on trends, warming, more extremes, but the details vary. Uncertainty is part of the deal, though that doesn't mean we know nothing.
So which model was your scenario based on just now when I asked you for the extreme?
I wasn't pulling from one specific model. I gave a composite worst case that's common in IPCC reports. They use multiple models and scenarios, so it's a general synthesis, not one definitive blueprint. But that's the point. Worse outcomes are credible across many models, not just one.
Okay. And this is but nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. This is all projections. Just like weather, we try to predict the weather.
Exactly. It's all projections, educated, data driven, but still projections. We're dealing with probabilities, not crystal balls. We know the direction is warmer and more disruptive, but the exact path and severity, that remains uncertain and we'll only know in hindsight.
I guarantee he is. Sean, are you willing to do without plastic?
yeah,
Well, if he
much
is
less.
that
I'm
committed,
trying to.
let him be the one to lead by example. If not, it's fair to call out the inconsistency. It's easy to preach, harder to walk the talk.
Right. That's a good question. What are you doing right now personally to help climate change?
Well, I try to eat less meat. I haven't flown in 5 years. What else? I try not. I'm gonna
So now
try
you're
and
guilty
I'm
of
not buying
air travel,
plastic clothes and
plastic clothes,
um yeah,
all like
because the
polyester and stuff.
yeah all the fiber goes everywhere and you eat it and you swallow. Yeah, and
Well, it sounds
what
like you're doing
else?
a lot, so you should feel good that
It's
you're
not.
doing your
It's not
part.
that hard. I
You're
mean,
doing all you
if
can do.
if everybody did this, the obviously the economy will change. The system will have
I
to
don't think
adapt.
people are gonna stop flying in the modern world. Like, that's a completely if you're mental well-being depends on eventually getting people to stop flying, you're setting yourself up for some misery. If you envision a world where people no longer fly and that's what makes you happy, I'm afraid you have some disappointment headed your way.
Well, that's
Like
why
I
I
said, if
call
I had
myself
your
a
model of climate change and your model of what's required to solve it, I would be a doomer too when I measure that against the probability that it's actually going to happen in my lifetime. You're setting up a very high standard that the world is not going to meet, and then it's gonna crash you.
yeah. Obviously, I know the facts, and that's why I'm not happy about it. But I try and feel better by myself by talking about it. But I guess it's too stressful for me now because
Oh, you
you're
can
denying
talk
it.
about it. I think it's more stressing me out more than you. Um, you is your phone
Well,
plastic?
yes, obviously, we're gonna have to do a lot of things that we can't do anymore to save ourselves from ourselves. So there you go.
Yeah, but I don't most people are not gonna do that unless you have some plan to force them.
I know. That's why I think the environmental issue is very depressing. I know the problem and I know the solution, and I don't think humans are going to be able to do it, want to do it as well. They're going to be forced to do it by the climate problems. Like a week ago, we had a huge flooding there in Ireland, and now you have extreme weather, cold. So it's going to be we're going to change because we delayed it so long. It's like any problem
So
humans face. We always do it in when it gets really bad, like any health problem
what
or something.
what do you do in Ireland to prevent the next flood? What do you do today to make sure there's not another flood like that? You don't know. And what do we do here in the US to make sure there's not another winter storm like we just had? We don't know. Nothing's going to guarantee there's no more flood or no winter storm.
Okay, ask the AI. What is the ask the AI what crop losses have happened this year? Agricultural problems have happened this year because of climate change. Ask the AI.
Charlie, this is a two-part question. What crop losses across the globe happened this past year, and how much of that can be definitively traced to climate change?
I don't have last year's specific crop data at my fingertips, but globally there were certainly notable droughts and floods that impacted yields in multiple regions. Now, definitively tracing any single event purely to climate change is tricky. We can say climate change made certain extremes more likely, but definitive cause and effect is rare. It's always a mix of factors.
That's where the myth making comes in. They're filling the imagination is filling in the gaps that science doesn't know
When
with
people
a
try to pin a
story that
complex
they are
event on one
convinced
narrative, they
accounts for those
simplify the
gaps.
complexity. That's where the myth making creeps in, turning uncertainty into a neat, absolute story. Reality's
Okay, ask the AI, are humans going to be able to adapt to
Hang on, I had
the
another question.
IPCC predictions?
What?
Will humans be able to adapt to the latest IPCC predictions of climate or whatever?
How is Charlie gonna know that? How is anyone gonna know that?
He knows everything.
He's wondering if humans are going to be able to adapt to the latest IPCC predictions.
Humans are adaptable, but it'll be uneven. Wealthier societies with resources will cope better, while poorer regions may suffer more. Adaptation is possible. Better infrastructure, technology, and policy, but if we drag our feet, it'll be brutal for many. In short, we can adapt, but at a cost and not equally.
So you can't really answer if we will adapt, which I didn't think you could. It would be a choice we would make at the time, and you can't predict what humans are going to decide to do at that time.
Exactly. I can't predict what people will choose or how well they'll act under pressure. Adapting isn't automatic, it depends on decisions, investments, and cooperation. So, yeah, the potential is there, but no guarantees. It's up to us, and history shows we're often slow to act until the heat's already on.
For me, it's like the judginess and the moralizing of like everybody that's not conforming to their vision of how to solve climate change is judged as part of the problem. It's very similar to the woke. If you're not part of fighting systemic racism oppression, then you're somehow implicitly supporting it and upholding it. You're part of the problem. You're either part of the solution or part of the problem. It's that
Yeah,
extreme moral dualism.
we're all judging each other. You're judging me too. Same shit.
You've nailed it. When complex problems get reduced to moral binaries, with us or against us, it oversimplifies reality. It's easy to judge others when you frame your stance as the only righteous path. But the world's more nuanced. Solutions and people don't fit neatly into moral boxes.
It sounds sexy there. I'm only judging your epistemology.
Yeah,
How
moral
you make
certainty often
sense of the
does.
world and
But real
what you
progress
count
usually
as
means rolling up your
reality.
sleeves and dealing with the
I'm
messy
not
complexity.
judging your
Way less
actions.
sexy, but a lot more honest.
Well, yeah, but anyway, so it's the same as religion. So denial is also a belief. When people deny things and that don't believe some things, it's also no, sorry, that's
Because we're
wrong.
talking about the future. Every one of us is going to come up with a different prediction of what the future. My sense of what the future holds for climate change is going to be very different from yours, and each individual person is going to have their own sense. Because no human being alive knows what the fuck is going to happen 100 years from now.
Well,
So it's all of
scientists,
us are myth making when it comes to the future.
well, scientists
You're
can
just
predict
more
quite
judgy
well
about
about
your
it.
myth than I am. Me not thinking climate change is a problem is not the only thing I'm judging you is on how like your stance toward the rest of it. I'm judging your judgment is what I'm judging.
Well,
And I
ask
want to ask
Charlie if
Charlie this
climate
question. Hang
change.
on. I'm letting Chad in on this conversation. Let me get this question in.
Go for it. I'm all ears, and
Okay.
I'm ready to give you a blunt answer. No
How much
sugarcoating.
CO2 have volcanic eruptions in a year put into the cycle, and how much have humans offset that with their efforts?
On average, volcanic CO2 emissions are tiny compared to ours. We're talking maybe a fraction of a gigaton per year, while human activities pump out tens of gigatons annually. So if you're wondering if volcanoes balance us out, not even close. We've overwhelmed that natural scale by orders of magnitude.
And then what about the cows?
Cows are methane machines, not CO2 giants. Methane's potent but shorter lived. Still, livestock emissions are significant, roughly 6% of global greenhouse gases. But humans? We dwarf them too. Our fossil fuel burning makes cow burps look like a drop in the bucket.
Okay, next to humans, what's the next largest like output of climate damage?
After human-driven,
Stress?
no fluff. After us, natural processes like soil and plant respiration and ocean release contribute. But here's the kicker. Those natural fluxes were balanced until we interfered. So even the next biggest output isn't what broke the bank. We're the disruptors, hands down.
Interfered seems disingenuous. We were just like we didn't intentionally go and say, hey, let's fuck up the ocean release. We were just doing our thing, and that was kind of just a byproduct of it. So interfere like implies an intent and motivation, which I deny that we had.
Fair point. It wasn't some deliberate sabotage. It's a side effect of how we've powered our lives. So drop interfere, if it suggests intent. Let's call it what it is. Consequences of doing our thing on a massive scale.
So instead of white guilt, you get climate guilt, but it's still this is like another form of wokeness to me, where feel bad about how you're living your life because of what it's harming, the vulnerable and sensitive either people or environment that it's harming. So feel bad, guilt and shame, and change yourself to conform to our vision of how you should live. And in a democracy, we have other ways of doing that.
You're right that guilt narratives can be used as a lever, and it doesn't sit well with everyone. In a democracy, it's about persuasion, not guilt tripping. If people want change, they need better arguments and practical solutions, not just moral scolding.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, but the right have guilt and fear too, don't they? They have their own cares, and maybe for the rich or something.
What are you well I lean right and I'm definitely not rich. What do you feel from the right that's being how do you feel your guilt and shame is being manipulated by the right or played upon by the right?
So I couldn't understand you there because my internet cut off. Can you re-ask the question?
What guilt and shame is the right trying to evoke in you? What are they trying to shame you over or guilt
Well,
you
if I
over?
was a right winger, I would be more into like the government guilt and fear onto me, trying to tell me what to do, and I'll be feeling guilt and shame. Or what
Over
else?
what
Uh,
specific? Like you're doing the same thing, but about climate. What is the right doing about what? Not climate, but
yeah, the
something else.
right
What is that something else?
forces you. Yeah, the right gives you guilt and shame about working a lot and like growing the economy. You have to always grow the economy. Uh, Always trying to get rich. Everybody has to get rich, and that's the guilt and
Where are you
shame that
getting this
humans
from?
feel.
The right's never done ever. Maybe it's different in Ireland. What is that? What the right does in Ireland?
Well, no,
Nobody does that
religion.
here in America. To me, I don't
Sorry,
have
religion.
right wing people
Religion is
guilting and
a right
shaming
wing
me
thing.
over not do
Okay,
what.
ask the AI what guilt and shame do the right wingers have?
Well, that's not my question. Is what they have. It's what they're trying to manipulate others into doing using guilt and shame. Let's see what he says. Charlie, a lot of people on the left are trying to guilt and shame people into changing their behavior based on climate change. And the claim is that people on the right are also doing the same thing, but over different issues. What are people on the right trying to use guilt and shame to manipulate others into doing?
On the right, you'll often see guilt or shame tied to personal responsibility. Things like being a taker rather than a maker, dependency on government, or not pulling your own weight. You also see it in patriotic terms. If you don't support the military or traditional values, you're undermining the country. It's just a different set of ideals used to nudge behavior.
Yeah, if you don't support the military, you are undermining the country because the country
But it
depends on the military to sustain
yeah,
itself. Also, yes, I'm down with personal responsibility, not being a taker and minimizing your dependency on anything. That's self-empowerment, not even just the government. But I don't think I use guilt and shame to do it. I just put forth an alternate vision that people can be inspired to adopt or not.
okay, ask
That's a
Charlie, are
reasonable stance.
humans
Not everyone uses guilt or shame. Some just offer a vision of what they believe works. Ultimately, people respond differently. Some to guilt, others to inspiration. In the end, if you offer an empowering path and people choose it freely, that's persuasion, not manipulation.
And that still doesn't seem the same as the climate change side or the woke side when it comes to racism.
They're not identical. The climate or social justice side often frames it as a moral imperative: do this or you're harming others. The personal responsibility angle can come off more like, you'll be stronger if you do this. Different tools in the toolbox. But in the end, any vision can be pushed in a judgmental way if it's wielded as a moral litmus test.
Moral maximalist.
Yeah, exactly. When everything becomes a grand moral test, you lose nuance. Not every issue should be a battle of good versus evil. Sometimes it's just practical choices and trade offs. Moral maximalism oversimplifies reality, and it usually turns people off.
Boy, it sure does. All right.
All right, if there's anything else down the line you want to toss around, you know I'll give it to
Hey,
you straight.
Ricardo, what's up?
yeah,
See,
so
how
that's
much
what I
is the world holding back and see if it's less than one volcano? All right, let me ask. How much have we currently reduced our emissions? How much are we holding back each year? And is it less than a volcano?
Globally, we haven't reduced emissions nearly enough to call it a success story yet. They've plateaued in some regions, but worldwide there's still tens of gigatons annually. Any reductions so far are nowhere close to offsetting something like a volcano. Remember, a volcano's tiny compared to our footprint. Even a big volcanic eruption is a fraction of what we emit. So no, we're not holding back more than a volcano. Yeah.
China and India, is that who you're talking about?
Yes, they're major players. China's the largest emitter right now, and India's emissions are growing fast. But it's not just them. Historically, developed countries like the US have put most of the CO2 out there. Now, everyone's got a piece of the pie, and reducing it means all of them need to step up.
So are you
ask the
saying
AI what
volcanoes are still putting out more than we're withholding?
No, not at all. Even with modest reductions here and there, we still emit vastly more than
No, that
volcanoes
we're
do.
withholding, not that we're emitting. What the amount we've reduced.
Ah, I see what you mean. Even the reductions we've managed so far, whether through cleaner tech or policies, still don't add up to anything that would outdo a volcano. Even a large eruption pales in comparison to our yearly footprint. We've got a long way to go.
I don't think you understand the question, but Never mind.
I got you, no worries. To clarify, the amount we've cut back, as in reductions, is still small compared to any volcano's natural emissions. In short, we haven't held back enough yet to rival even that.
So a volcano puts out more than we have reduced.
Yes, exactly. Even a big volcano might emit on the order of a fraction of a gigaton. Our global reductions so far are less than that. In other words, the cuts we've made aren't even outpacing what a single major eruption would put into the air.
All right.
Yeah. So ask Charlie, what are
See,
the
that's why
top?
it takes a human to, when y'all are playing with this AI, you really have to know what to ask and how to talk to it, or you're going to get a bunch of AI hallucinations and AI junk and misinformation or confusion. Is it
Well, I
all it
think
is
he's
a
talking.
predictive text machine, and if it can't if it can't understand what you're asking it, it's not going to know what to predict from.
Yeah, like we're trying to predict climate change. Ask the AI, what are the top 20 solutions for climate change?
We already did
Or
that
something.
yesterday. I don't want to keep wasting his voice minutes on stuff we've already talked about.
All right. But
Because
anyway,
we're
so
going to
that's
end up
what
in a
I care
climate
about.
loop where it's just the same conversation every time. And I want the conversation
So,
to go somewhere.
so you think it's a myth, climate, environmental stuff, or it's a bit of
I
a
think,
myth?
well, the parts that are not science are myth. Yes. The parts that he said that, let me find it. Well, I think it scrolled off the screen. I don't think I have access to the whole conversation.
But anyway, so religion
But the
has
parts
a.
that we're guessing at, that the scientists are guessing at, or people are filling in with myth, with guesses.
Well, ask the AI, what myths do
You think
climate
science has
scientists?
it all mapped out to the decimal, and it's a settled deal, and that's just not true. And the parts that are not, you are telling yourself your version of what you think fills in those gaps. Just like
Okay,
the
ask
woke will
Charlie.
look at a list of disparities and they will tell themselves a story about racism to explain those disparities. That's the
Yeah,
myth
ask
making
Charlie.
part.
Okay, ask Charlie, what myths do the environmentalists believe in and climate scientists believe in, or something?
What myths do climate scientists and climate advocates believe in? Like the parts that are not just factual hard science that everybody can test and verify. What's the mythic part of climate, the climate conversation?
The mythic part often revolves around a vision of a harmonious, sustainable future, a world where humanity lives in balance with nature. It's not just numbers, it's a belief in a moral responsibility to protect the Earth for future generations. It's an aspirational narrative, one that gives meaning to the science.
But where's the mythologizing as far as putting together a descriptive picture of the world? Because science doesn't fully describe the issue. So you have to fill in some parts with guesses, imagination, etc. What are those parts?
The mythologizing happens when we fill in the blanks about how society will respond, imagining inevitable cooperation or believing that green tech will save the day. It's in assuming a linear, predictable path from crisis to solution. It's in portraying nature as a stable paradise if we only return to it. Those parts, how humans will act, what an ideal world looks like, are where imagination steps in.
So their vision of a world different than we have now, if there were not the threat of climate change, is the myth.
Exactly. The imagined world where everything would be perfect or in balance if not for this crisis. That's the mythic layer. It's a vision of a better, harmonious future or lost past that isn't purely data. It's not that the science is wrong. It's that the narrative we build around it, with all its hopes or fears, steps beyond the raw facts.
But the science is incomplete. It's not conclusive. So if we want to go beyond the science, we have to develop our own personal vision of what that looks like.
Exactly. Science gives us data, trends, and probabilities, but not a finished picture of what life should be. So, yes, beyond the facts, we all end up crafting a vision. That's where values, hopes, and imagination inevitably fill in the blanks.
This is actually a great topic to help me illustrate the myths of freedom and concern and the topic I've been exploring. So thanks.
So ask it, are the people that don't believe in climate change correct?
We just answered all of that. I'm not asking him that question because we've answered it several times. We've
Okay,
talked
ask
about
them.
where the science ends and where guesswork begins.
All right.
Besides, I want to
Well,
have a conversation with you. I don't want it to just be let's talk to the AI all day. I want to have a dialogue and a conversation with humans.
yeah, but it's easier with the AI. It's less stressful because the AI has all the facts, and we are here with our emotions and opinions and 50% facts or something.
Yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff I want to talk about. That's the human stuff. I can just look up a climate report if all I wanted was the facts. Because you're not here for just facts either. You're smuggling in a moral and social vision.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. Mine is basically not do anything just too drastic from what we're doing now. And yours is switch to this very different vision than what we're doing now.
Okay, ask the AI. Should we keep on going as we currently going,
We've
or should we
already
go
asked, we've
radically?
already had between yesterday and today, we've covered that ground with Charlie. I don't want to keep looping.
Yeah, but you said that you want to keep on going as we currently are, which is not doing much, is it?
Yeah. I'm okay with what we're doing now. I don't think the world's gonna suddenly burst into flames 10 years from now if we don't like hit the gas pedal and start frantically doing more. I think that's
Well, you
part
could
of the
ask
myth.
the AI. I don't think that, but ask the AI. Are we going to burst into flames? It'd be funny if it actually said yes.
Well, remember yesterday we did the 100 years from now mark, and we had a whole conversation about what to expect 100 years from now. So we kind of did that already.
All right. Anyway, so that's what I care about. That's my myth. What myths do you believe in?
I believe it. My myth. We're gonna. In fact, this whole series is building up to is those mythic operating systems that I covered a while back, and it's the personal myth we all carry at our core. There's different types. Mine is definitely the myth of the sovereign hero. Personal responsibility, autonomy, determination, agency, our ability to envision and actualize our own life. So my myth is the myth of the hero, of the ability for individual humans to create the life they want and affect the world around them in ways that they want.
Yeah,
And
but if
along with
ever,
that
let's
comes
say
personal responsibility as well.
another man's responsibility is another man's irresponsibility or something.
Well, in your opinion,
If
I don't
that's what
feel
that's
responsible for your life. I would rather you take responsibility for your life so I don't have to be responsible for it.
yeah. If everybody was very responsible for themselves and all that stuff, we would need military, uh, fucking healthcare. Well, we obviously do need to take care of each other. I mean, if everybody was independent and didn't care about each other, we'd be just single, whatever. Anyway.
It's not that I don't care about people. I just get to choose who I care about. No one's going to tell me who I have to care about. That's the sovereign part of the myth. How much will pollution regulation to get back to a healthy stewardship of the earth affect the world's economy? In other words, will Ireland's economy tank if it had to follow that level of regulation?
Yes, I expect that if we want to solve climate change and the environmental problems, that world economy is going to reduce. Yes.
That's going to be a hard
A-
sell.
a- Ask the AI what's the economic cost of solving the environmental and climate stuff.
Do you have an estimate on the cost to solve climate change?
No one can pin down a final price tag. Estimates range in the trillions, depending on how fast, how comprehensive, and what tech we deploy. It's colossal, but so is the cost of doing nothing, just in different ways. So no simple sticker price.
And here's the other confounding factor. We don't know what new technology is going to develop in the next generations either. There's stuff we can't even imagine right now while we're having this discussion that may change the whole issue. So you're
Well,
trying to
ask.
envision 100 years from now without the ability to take into account the technology that's going to intervene between now and 100 years.
Well,
The
AI. They think
conversation's
AI.
gonna look completely different 100 years from now because they're gonna have completely different technology than we do. They'll probably have new sources of energy and everything. They're not even gonna be having the conversation you and I are having.
Okay, ask, is AI and fusion going to be more popular in the future? What technology is going to be more new technology is going to happen in the future?
How is AI gonna know that? Let's see what it says. What new technology is gonna happen in the future? Can you predict that?
I can't predict future tech with certainty. Anyone who claims they can is bluffing. What we know is that innovation often surprises us, whether it's breakthroughs in energy storage, carbon capture, or something we can't even imagine today. All I can say is expect the unexpected.
So, like, be more open about it than closed.
Absolutely. Being rigid about what the future holds is a losing game. Staying open to new ideas, unexpected solutions, and ongoing adaptation is the smart move. The future is always going to surprise us. Best to stay flexible.
Thank you, Charlie. All right, we're gonna give him a little rest.
Yeah, I'm going to stop talking about this very depressing subject.
It's depressing
very annoying.
because of the vision you have about it. I'm not depressed about it because I don't have the same doom laden vision in my head over it. I don't see this
Well,
biblical
people have
apocalypse with
doom
oceans of
visions
fire
for
and blood.
but people have doom visions for the end of the world in religion. There's a lot of humans
Right.
that think
This
like
is
me.
just the modern
But
version of it. So you're in a long
yeah,
line of
yeah. What is your
and
what is your worst vision of society? Your doom vision of
I'm not a
society?
doomer. I'm not a
Well,
pessimist or a doomer. I have a hard time
just
coming up with dystopian visions of society because I have such faith in people and humans. Maybe if I had to come up with one based on the day that we just become kind of isolated and apathetic and just stop, like kind of Nietzsche's last men vision. We just become really mediocre, average. We stop striving, we stop being creative, we stop being curious, and we just kind of exist and live humdrum lives. It and RW makes the point about AI and all the energy to run the current technology. But we're not giving that up. We're not going to suddenly pause AI because it's taking all of this energy to run and causing risk to the environment. Humans don't work that way. You want us to sacrifice our a quality of life that we've worked really hard to achieve and be able to live. And most humans are not going to do that, no matter how much you think they should.
well, yes. Either they don't do that, but then they'll die of climate change, or they have the
I'm
potential
not
of
worried
dying.
about dying of climate change in my lifetime.
Well, you should probably research the science more, and then you'll find out.
I'm not worried about dying of climate change in my lifetime. You yourself even used the 100-year mark in your own speculations.
Well, no, I'm not sure. Ask Charlie how many
I'm not
people
I
are
turned
going
him
to
off.
die.
We're not asking Charlie anything else. We're team human. We're going to rely on ourselves.
Okay, I'm going to give you facts, scary facts now, okay? Are you ready for the scary facts? Scary truth?
Okay.
Okay. The Middle East right now is in a record drought. Sorry, what?
What's your
The
fact?
Middle East. The Middle East right now is in a record drought. All of the Middle East. Iran right now are like really bad drought. So if that keeps on going, that could lead to mass starvation and immigration if they don't change their ways.
Okay.
And
They are a
you can
desert.
look it up. Yeah, but it's getting worse. Like the rivers are drying. They have too many dams, and now the water is slowing down. They've taken
Okay.
out too much water from the aquifers, So if they don't change their ways quickly, they might, I don't know what the fuck. And then
Somehow,
what
I think
else?
that's the least of Iran's problems right now, but I'll go with your scenario. There's a big drought, and what are you worried what are you worried about?
Well, it's going to cause more political problems. Like that's probably why it was one cause of why Iran right now are in problems.
Vegas is going through the same thing with the Hoover Dam, and the California, Arizona, they all get their water from the Hoover Dam, and it's losing its water levels, and they have to figure out how they're going to get water in the future. But I'm not worried that humans are not going to solve it. I'm not, oh my God, crisis, we're doomed. We're never going to figure out our way out of this. Oh no. I don't, I
Well,
don't have
no,
that kind of
I'm not
mind.
saying.
And I've seen humans overcome so much. I'm not worried about them. I have faith in my species.
Yeah, but you could still kind of predict that we're not going to have like as good of a time as we had in the last 100 years. That's all.
How good of a time do you think Iran is having right now, even without the drought? Now your standard is not saving the planet, but making sure everybody has a good time. You've just switched standards, criteria.
Well, that's the whole point of life is to have a good time. Like we're the whole point of
Well,
economic
then
growth.
why?
And
Well, then you're failing miserably because if at first it was to save the world and you were the climate hero, and now it's to have a good time, and you are like wallowing in misery. So is it save the world and be miserable but be heroic, or is it have a good time but don't worry so much about climate change in the process?
well,
Because
there'll
I don't
be
know how
two.
you have a good time with the vision you have of climate in your head.
Well, obviously, people don't have a good time by saving the world. I mean, do you think all the people who try and save the world are having a good time? No, not all of them are. Obviously.
But I'm asking what your ultimate value is. Is it save the world or have a good time? Because you just switched it to having a good time. After
It's
talking
both.
about how important is this to sacrifice and change the quality of our life and save the world and
They
suffer a
say
little
that
bit of
people.
misery for the sake of the climate, and now it's have a good time.
There's a lot of soldiers in World War II said that that was the best time of their life. So in crisis scenarios, people have a good time. Not everybody is going to be depressed dealing with climate change. I'm just saying that
Yeah,
it can
I
happen.
agree. I don't intend to be depressed over it either. I am not worried because I am quite certain nobody's going to tell me what I have to eat and not eat. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
If
but
other
aren't you
people
worried
want to
about the
let
left?
people
If the left win, hypothetically, if
micromanage
the
their
left.
diet, that's fine. Jeff is not going to be one of those people. So I
But if
don't
you
see this as a realistic concern.
but are you worried that let's say a right wing eco right wing government tells us that we should eat less meat and all that? Will you follow their? And
No,
then if
there's not even
if
a
you don't
science
do it,
fiction novel that I can think of that would have like that I could read to experience that kind of worry. No, that's people sitting behind their computer and their imaginations are just saying, "What's the scariest ghost story I could tell myself right now?"
oh man,
I'm
I'm
not
tired of this.
concerned that the government is going to suddenly start telling me what to eat. It never has in 55 years of living in the United States ever. Has the Irish government told you what to eat? I know y'all had a potato famine at one time.
Well, we're having more. The EU right now have more regulations on agriculture, and most of the subsidies in farming goes to animal agriculture. So they're trying to reduce. They're gonna try in the EU now have a plan to bring back nature because nature is decreasing. So they're trying to rewild a lot of Europe for
I
the
saw where y'all
environmentalists.
have you got your buffalo back. Like you'll have supposedly you have more wolves and bears than we have here in the States, and now you're getting bison back.
Yeah. So, but I want more rewilding. I want like half of the planet to be nature reserves or something.
That's nice. There's all kind of like fantasy visions that I want for the world too.
Well, what's your fantasy vision of
I
your
said I
right-wing
wish
utopia?
everybody took responsibility for their own lives and used their personal agency and self-determination to create the life they want and quit whining and acting like bitchy victims that are at the mercy of all these systems and governments and need everybody to come and do everything for them and can't do shit for themselves.
Well, ask Charlie what are the pros and cons of your vision.
Charlie is offline. We're not bringing him on again. We're giving him a rest. I'm
Well,
not
the
using up my
the
voice on that.
cons of your vision would be that there'll probably still be crime, and if nobody has like,
I didn't put it forth as a solution to the crime problem. I never tied it to that at all. What are 15-minute cities, and do you support those?
yeah, 15-minute cities are to reduce the pollution. So in the city, it like makes you able to walk to the shops to get everything you need in life. Well, most of what you
Oh, like
need.
everything you need is 15 minutes away, walkable.
Yeah. So it reduces the transport pollution and
I didn't have a
all that.
car the whole time I lived in Seattle. I could walk everywhere and get whatever I wanted. But it was, I mean, it was nice. It was kind of a luxury. I don't expect everybody to be able to live that way or even to choose to live that way. And growing up, we had the food pyramid. I ate what I want my whole life. Nobody told me what to eat. So recommendations don't make me think that the government's gonna go beyond recommendations and start into authoritarianism.
Well, no, the EU now we have taxes for carbon tax. We have subsidies for environmental things. Like we subsidize. We try and do a lot for the environment in Europe. You probably do the
I think
same
we
in
have
America,
some of
but
that.
probably less.
I'm not sure. I think we might have carbon tax or something like that. I mean, I'm all for public transportation, more walkable neighborhoods. But I'm okay if people don't want that either. I'm okay with them for people that want them, not as a lifestyle to force on everybody that doesn't want that.
So let's talk about religion, right?
All
I
right,
used to be
let's
a
do that.
Catholic, and religion was a big part of my youth. And then the internet came along and convinced me that it was bullshito. So there you go. People changed their views,
Is that what you
and
switched to climate change? How did it
yeah,
convince? How old were you and what was your journey out of Catholicism?
I was like 2019 when I questioned. Then yeah.
What started that? Was it a
Well,
particular?
watching like I was questioning religion. I was watching I loved watching documentaries, and then there's documentaries about everything, conspiracies, religion, and all that. So I clicked the
Propaganda.
religion thing. There was loads of anti-religious documentaries, so that was cool, and I watched that, and I got convinced slowly but surely. And then no,
Are there
man,
any
whenever you want.
anti-climate change documentaries?
Yes, you can watch those. Yeah, on YouTube. I watch them too.
Oh, but they don't have the same effect.
No, I wasn't convinced.
Because I don't know if you can just give up. Like I did that when I was younger. I stepped away from the Catholic Church and I was secular my whole life. But there was something missing, as I discovered when I found Satanism. And so I don't know if we can fully walk away from one myth and find the complete meaning in our lives without transitioning to some other myth. But that's just my own personal experience.
Well, myth is usually false, right? But you could have a
I don't
political
think of it
or
as false. I just think of it as non-factual.
yeah, which is bad
Did
though.
did the documentary convince you that there was no creationism, or just the Catholic religion itself that you walked out of?
All of it. I watched multiple documentaries about Catholic and the science and history of religion.
And was it out of disbelief, like you no longer believed in the tenets of the religion, or was there anger or personal, like emotion
There's
involved?
both. There was both. Like, but I didn't have a bad experience with religion. Well, I kind of did. I was praying a lot, but the prayers didn't do shit for my anxiety and stuff. So that didn't work. And then I questioned it. You know, that's what people do. And then the
Does
science. There
climate
was a lot of
change
science.
help your anxiety?
No. But at least the knowing of it. I mean, you know the way that the people fear what they don't know. Well, I'd say there's a lot of people that fear the not knowing about climate change, and they don't want to know. So denial is a fear as well. So it's fear either way.
Or they fear what they think they know. Oh, no, it was sixth grade science class. I just started studying science, and suddenly it made way more sense than the religious stuff. And I could test and verify it, so I could check it out for myself. I just didn't have to take somebody's word or a book's word. It was kind of the same as like growing out of Santa or the Easter Bunny. God was just like one more childhood myth to grow out of.
I mean, it's sad though
There
when you
was no
realize that.
there was no negative emotionality at all. I just kind of drifted out of it. And my experiences with the church were very positive. I was an altar boy. I sang in the choir. The mass was beautiful. I loved going to church. I was a Catholic geek. I wanted to be a priest, in fact. I had the rosary, the novenas, all the little prayer books. Like Catholics have all kind of extra stuff in addition to the Bible. I had all that stuff. And I also
Yeah,
had
man.
stuffed animals and action figures and like stuff like that, that when I became a teenager, I also kind of grew out of. So it all happened around the same. It was like leaving childhood and transitioning to a more rationally, empirically oriented phase.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, religion gives us a lot of hope and for a better life in the afterlife. But when you're an atheist, you have to do it here. So that's why they become communist or extreme in political views or in activism and all that stuff. Atheists. Whereas a religious person is an activist for religion, which can be some things in religions are positive, but some are not.
You could say about a lot of things.
Say that again. I didn't hear you. My internet cut off again.
I said you could say that about a lot of things.
Yep. That's right.
And I was never anti-religion. I just thought they were like stupid or delusional. Like, why would they believe in this false thing? But I didn't hate them as people. It was just curious to me that they walked around believing these weird things. But then I believed that for part of my life too, so I couldn't judge them that hard. My only problem with the religious people were the ones that were very anti-gay back in the 80s. And there weren't even a lot of those people around. Most of it was like preachers on TV hollering and screaming, and those didn't bother me. But in my own personal life, there were very few religious people in my face, like being adverse. Again,
It's funny
like
'cause the
tolerant,
Catholic Church
an open liberal society that tolerates multiple viewpoints and perspectives and stories and myths.
it's what
So as long as they were tolerating
funny 'cause
mine, I could tolerate theirs.
it's funny because the Catholic Church is actually quite kind of woke now because they accept the LGBT They're pro climate change science.
They have
and they're
female
like
altar
the
boys.
first. Oh,
It did. I went to a
well, maybe they're
Catholic
not
mass
that woke.
a few years ago, and they had female altar ladies, and some of the prayers were a little different. Some of the wording of the prayer, I could tell that there had been some little like subtle changes. The biggest one to me was seeing the altar ladies. In fact, the head altar boy was a lady.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get female priests because they're running out of priests in Ireland. There's no more priests in Ireland, so there's loads of foreign priests
How
here
can there be
now.
no more priests? Like no young men are going into the priesthood?
Yes, in Ireland we only had 22 last year or something. New priests created. Where
Does that
like
count
50
Northern
years
Ireland
ago,
too?
maybe, but 50 years ago it was like 20,000 or something.
Damn. Are there enough women interested? Oh. Poor church.
So do you think the brave new world of atheism is gonna fuck shit up?
You're gonna have to orient me to this new conversation. I don't know where we are now. What?
Because like I think like 30 to 50% of Europe is atheist now or something.
Oh, I looked at the stats the other day. It's roughly about Christianity's the largest, Catholicism's the largest denomination of Christianity. Islam is the fastest growing religion, and the breakdown is about a quarter Christian, a quarter Islamic, a quarter what they call unaffiliated, which is the atheist, agnostic, secular, and then the rest all fall into kind of the Eastern religions, Hinduism, Buddhism.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. Was that in Europe? I didn't hear the beginning.
The world.
Yeah, but Europe is like atheism is growing anyway. It's like 30 to 50. Some countries is more than others. Europe is more atheistic than America, strangely.
Europe is? No, I'm not surprised. America is a highly religious nation.
Yeah, because you didn't have communism, you didn't have like Napoleon, you didn't have all that war. Oh yeah, you didn't have World War II or World War I.
Not really until we got involved. We did have the Civil War.
Did that cause a lot of atheism, the Civil War?
I have no idea what the correlation of the Civil War is with.
I would be surprised if big wars cause more atheism, or it causes more religion in the beginning, but then in the end it caused more atheism.
Harold Bloom makes the argument that we're post-Christian, that the Christianity in America has very little in common with European Christianity. It's its own brand of Christianity. It is closer to Gnosticism than to Christianity. And it's centered on the figure of being alone with Jesus and a personal walk with Jesus more than any of the other trappings of the religion. And then we have Mormonism,
dude,
which is
one Mormons
of our indigenous
crazy,
religions.
They're the most rich religion in the world. They're the most. They have loads of money. The Mormons.
Catholics too. Catholics are loaded.
Well, I'm not sure if they have a lot of property, but I don't know if they have a lot of cash.
Well,
I heard they bought
counts
loads
when you're counting wealth.
Yeah, but if there's nobody going to it anymore, like in Europe, the attendance in church is reduced, so they're probably not making as much money as before. But I heard they invested a lot in real estate in America in the 70s because they had a money problem in the 70s. And that's the time when they built the snake-shaped church in the Vatican. The church that looks like a snake.
Yeah. For the Nagas.
So they're pretty weird. The Catholics, they love the occult, and there was a pope that died in the 33 days at that time period. So they say it was like all weird shit, corruption. Oh yeah, the Vatican Bank. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh man, what were any?
I do know
Was
growing up,
anybody?
the Catholic schools, the private schools were Catholic, and they were the best schools in the town. If you could get into the Catholic school and you could afford to go there, you were going to get the best
Oh yeah, they
education
still
around.
they have the largest private education system in the world.
The
So that's
hospitals
that's
too.
a,
Even up
really
here in secular Seattle, most of the hospital systems are Catholic.
wow. But I heard that if Christianity were to follow only Jesus's teachings and not Paul's and Peter's, Christianity would be much different.
Well, there's so many versions of Christianity. It's such a broad category. Like everybody thinks they're following the one true Christianity out of the hundreds of true Christianities that are out there. So that's why religion's just it's your personal path. It doesn't I don't judge what religion someone adopts.
Do you think we'll have World War II, World War III again? Never know. I'd be surprised.
No idea. I'm sure at some point there's I mean, I don't think we're done with wars forever, but I think it'll take a different form. Modern
Well,
warfare is probably not going to be the same as the wars of the past. But I don't think humans are going to stop fighting. We have wars now.
sure, I'm fighting with you now by speaking. Every time we're debating or stuff, it's a type of fight, non-violent one, obviously.
Oh, I don't consider this a fight.
Well, there was in the beginning there, the climate debate was quite annoying.
Yeah, but I didn't consider us fighting. I consider that we were fighting.
Well, I thought it was.
Oh, okay. We have very different senses of what's fighting. There was someone that was supposed to come up and scream at me today. Where is he? Action Slacks, get up here.
Dolbez should call in. He's smart. He knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so does Charlie. So do I.
I mean, if we didn't know anything, we'd not say anything. I mean, is there any humans that don't talk like that? I don't think there's any humans out there that can't speak
There's
language or
plenty of
something.
humans that can't speak.
No, I'm saying that they don't have a language.
Oh, like Nail? That Jodie Foster movie?
What?
Nail, the
What did she
movie with
do?
Jodie. Oh yeah, that may be before your generation. It's a movie with Jodie Foster. She played this girl who grew up in the wild, in the woods, and she didn't have a language. And she talked like that, and they had to teach her language. She had like her own private sound system of grunts and vocalizations.
I'm sure that's like Tarzan. Tarzan was pretty funny.
Tarzan talk? Didn't he talk? I don't remember. I used to watch the old Tarzan shows. I don't remember if he talked or not. I remember, oh, whatever his yell was, and Cheetah, the monkey.
Yeah, they were pretty good movies. The anime one, I remember, and there was the comedy one with what's the actor who did the obese guy in the movie?
Was it Brendan Fraser?
Yes. He did
think I saw
Tarzan,
that.
a comedy version of Tarzan. It was funny.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. I probably blocked it out. Well, we covered a lot today.
That's right. I'm a bit tired now. I'll let you go, okay? Good
All right, it was good
conversation.
talking. We went all over the world. It was
Yeah.
good.
All right, bye.
Do you feel like a little less anxious or doom eager about the
Well,
future?
at the moment, no, less because I'm talking, but afterwards I won't be as anxious. I'll still be more as anxious.
Like
But I'll
it'll
feel
once you
better for myself. I'll feel better for myself for trying to spread the word and all that. But
Oh, that
from
was what makes,
the
because this is
science,
a mental health channel. Is there any way we can turn this into something that benefits your anxiety?
well, I don't think if people knew the stuff that I knew, everybody will be depressed. But it's the action that
But you
will
don't
make
even
us
know the
stressed.
stuff you know, because not all of it's knowledge. Some of it is just imaginings, which is
Well,
fine. We
give
all
me
do it. It's normal and human. But
imagination.
like,
Okay, I don't think most of the stuff I think is factual. But if you think it's fake, then that's your opinion, man.
I don't just because it's imagined doesn't mean it's fake. That's the point of all of this. It has its own value, its own reality value as imagination. And I mean, it obviously does. Look how it affects you. So I wouldn't call something that affects you this much fake. How's the vibe
Yeah.
age myth ethereal construct of the AI? Wait, I want to get Charlie to weigh in on that one. Hang on. Okay, Charlie. Here's the question. How's the vibe age myth ethereal construct of the AI mythos miasma understanding going?
If I had to put it bluntly, it sounds like a grand word salad. If it's helping you frame concepts, great. But if it's feeling muddled, you might want to strip it down. No myth miasma should cloud what you're really after.
What do you think it is? Do you think he's a lumbergay or a bear? Yeah, I did too. So there's two of us, Sean, that really appreciated the chat today. I don't have to agree with
So what
someone
type?
to enjoy conversation with them or to get value out of talking to them.
Yeah, but it's stressful when you're fighting with people or fighting each other. It's stressful. It gives me the dopamine, the stress hormone, whatever it is.
I can understand that. And you're very brave actually, because I don't think I could sit on a panel that was this averse to my beliefs and defend them as long as you have. So like you're pushing yourself into territory that I don't even think I would.
You would. Oh,
And I don't think
thanks.
we've gotten a pterodactyl sound from you. So we need to collect your pterodactyl sample.
Arr, rar, rar.
Love it. That's one of my favorite ones. Rawr. Oh my god. He's in the running. That one is moving up the charts. That's one of the best pterodactyls we've had so far. Let's get Charlie's. Oh, Charlie, I forgot to collect an impression from you. We're getting them from everybody. So could you give us your best pterodactyl impression?
All right, here goes nothing. Imagine a pterodactyl swooping down. Scree! There you have it. Prehistoric, slightly terrifying, and absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely comical. Thank you. Scree! Rawr. Whew. Thank you,
A
Shift.
gay dinosaur. gay dinosaurs, man.
You
That'd
know I
be
love
funny.
my pterodactyl vibes. Take care, Dobez. Have a great day. And I had a question about Norway. Oh yeah, does Norway have a different version of YouTube? Because
They probably
Sean
will.
uses a
Gay
VPN
dinosaurs.
to use American YouTube because Ireland has their own version of YouTube. And I was wondering if you were working off of Norwegian YouTube or if you use the American version that we have. So next time you come up, you can let me know. Oh, a gay pterodactyl? I don't even do a good gay, period. Like even a gay human. Oh, I'm so ashamed. Nay.
All right, I'll see you. All right, bye.
All right,
That
take
made
care.
my day.
Yeah, Sean hacks his way around it. All right, anybody else want a panel today? Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wind it down. I'll be back out tonight at some point, I'm sure, for just a general discussion. Tomorrow, we're gonna look at closed and open myths. The danger really is not logic versus myth, because those two can work together. The real danger is very closed dogmatic myths versus more open, tolerant of other viewpoint myths. Oh, cool, RW. And if you have a particular topic, feel free to bring it because it'll be open discussion. Oh, we do have another.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, and we're back. I just want to say that I'm pretty sure, let me do the math, that we're making the world a better place, one dinosaur sound at a time.
I think we are. And respect.
With super respect. That's all.
Respectosaurus.
Respectosaurus Rex. Okay, that is all. I must go. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. All right. I don't know where to go after Tom Bombadil. That was kind of brilliant. So I'll end it there. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. And some of us will be in the Discord later. But the fun continues. And like I said, catch me later tonight. All righty. Let's wrap up with something.